Sharkie Gamer here. So today we're going to take a look at a very unusual controller from Japan. This is the Pachinko controller. It's made for the Nintendo Famicom and it's made by Coconuts Japan. So firstly, let's take a look at the box. So up the top there you got some Japanese writing. Of course you got a cool image there of the actual Pachinko controller itself. And of course there it says Coconuts Japan Pachinko controller. And of course it says FF there, which just stands for Famicom Family. Now the top and the bottom are pretty much the same. They've just got the controller, the model number, and the name of who made it, Coconuts Japan. The sides are pretty much the same as well. Very basic. And going over onto the back of the box, you've got a whole lot of information all in Japanese. And of course you've got a little bit of an outline there of the actual controller. So that was the box. So let's go ahead now and open this up. Okay, so first off, it's got a fairly short cable. This is not a very long cable at all. And on the end, of course, it's got the Famicom connection there. Now, looking at the controller itself, you can first off look at it and say this is an unusual kind of controller. It sort of looks like a gamepad, but it doesn't really. It's got a different shape to it. And you're right, it's got a really unusual shape. So you've got this kind of round edge here. It's got a gap in the middle here. That's the side of it. Back of it. Back of it, of course, has the model number there and everything. And it says 1991, made in Japan. That's the other side, the top, the bottom. So it's got a very unusual look to it. Now, firstly, if you go into its standard features, it does have all the features a gamepad would have. So you got a D-pad over the side. Below that, of course, it has the logo that says Famicom Family. And below that, it says Select and Start. And of course it's got that name of the maker who made this, Coconuts Japan. And then going over to the other side here, you've got the A button and the B button. So essentially it does have a gamepad built into it, and it works just like a gamepad. There is one more extra feature, and that of course is this kind of twist grip that's on the back here. So this actually moves all the way over. I'll just show this way. And the idea is that you can hold the controller like this and twist it using your fingers like that. Now, for you to understand exactly what this does, I'll have to actually explain what Pachinko is, for those of you who don't know it already. Pachinko is basically, if you think of a pinball machine, imagine a pinball machine upright. And you've got a Pachinko machine. I've got a picture here. This is what a Pachinko machine looks like if you were to go into a Japanese arcade and that has Pachinko machines. So it's like an upright pinball machine. You've got a slot here that's got a whole lot of balls in it. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a whole lot of balls in it. And up the top here, it looks just like an upright pinball machine. Notice down in the corner here, you've got like a little kind of twist, kind of grip knob that you can actually twist, similar to this thing right here. So that's the main control for a Pachinko machine. And the actual concept behind a Pachinko machine is that you got to get the balls into this little center bit here. Sometimes different machines have different areas where you can also get the balls in to get bonus points, but the idea is to get the balls into this extra, the center little piece just there. And what happens when you get the balls into that section is on the screen here, it'll actually come up with different numbers, and the idea is to get a whole lot of numbers, and it gives you a jackpot, and the jackpot will then pay out more balls. So the idea of the Pachinko machine is to get as many balls as you can, because then you can actually swap those balls for tokens or prizes or something like that. And sometimes you can take that to a different area of the arcade or a different building and exchange those tokens or prizes for cash. So basically a Pachinko machine is like equivalent to a slot machine in most parts of the world. It's very similar to a slot machine. It's a way of gambling, and a lot of Japanese people love Pachinko machines. They just get really addicted to them. So how do you play Pachinko with the actual grip little control just there? Well, the grip actually moves all the way, similar to this. It moves all the way this way, or it moves, that's I would say position 0, then you've got the center, and then you've got all the way. The idea of Pachinko is that the balls will come out this side of the Pachinko machine. If you push it too hard, the balls will come out too fast and probably just go all around and straight into the exit chute, which is down the bottom here. If you don't press it hard enough, so you only do a little bit like that, then the balls aren't going to go high enough and they're going to go straight back down again. So the idea is you want it somewhere in the middle, not too soft, not too hard, that you can actually hit it around and actually get the balls caught on these little pins here that go down, so that it actually can bounce down and go straight into that center hole, which is where you want it to go. So it's essentially a game that you just got to be patient and get the right type of movement on the grip, and then hold it there and try to get the most out of the right position to get it in the right spot. So it's not too much involved, you just got to get the right kind of centering of the actual grip piece, that twist kind of grip piece. And the same concept they took from this and they put it into games. So they made this for Famicom so that people could actually play the same sort of game on Famicom instead of going to the arcade. Except the downside of the actual Famicom is, of course, it doesn't actually pay out anything to reward yourself. You're just playing it for fun. And Japanese people just love this game. So essentially it's just like an upright pinball that doesn't have flippers and only has one grip kind of twist knob controller. And you get paid out in balls. Is essentially what it is. So hopefully you guys can understand what Pachinko is now. So Pachinko is a very popular arcade machine in Japan, very popular for gambling. And translating that into the Famicom system, basically there's a lot of games you can get for the Famicom that support the Pachinko controller just here. And the idea is the same sort of thing. On the game you've got that same sort of screen, and of course you either move it really hard over, the balls will shoot out really fast. If you do it too softly, the balls won't go fast enough to get over the entry point. You have to go somewhere in the center there and find a good spot where the balls will actually hit into that center, and you get enough points to basically win the jackpot. If you don't win the jackpot in the particular games, normally it comes up, gives you 3 kind of lives, and it kind of comes up game over, something similar to that. And to really show this and how it works, because it's one thing to actually talk about this, is another thing to show it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over now to some gameplay that I filmed with a Pachinko game for the Famicom, and this is called, and I hope I pronounced this right, it's called Pachinko Daisakesen, and I think I pronounced that right, but that's the game that we're going to have a look at. And basically in the beginning of this gameplay you will see exactly, I'll actually put it fast, and I'll put it not enough, and I'll put it in the medium. So you'll see exactly how this grip relates to how the balls actually shoot out of the actual chute that they come out of. So let's go and check that gameplay out, and then we'll be back for the conclusion of the review. Okay, so now that you've seen some gameplay, hopefully you understand Pachinko a little bit better. You can see from that gameplay, when I actually pushed this really fast, all the balls shot out really fast and almost all of them went down straight into the exit chute. If you didn't do it enough, they just sort of went up and down like this. And of course, if you did it at the center, then they finally came out and started going into those center hole and some of the other little side holes that they have that trigger those numbers in the center of the screen to actually flip and start adding points, I guess you could say, and going towards giving a jackpot. So the game is really simple to do, and again it comes down to taste. Like Pachinko, Japanese people love Pachinko, but I highly doubt people around the world really understand it. Most of you guys probably watching are probably looking at that and thinking it's really boring. A lot of people feel that way. It comes down to personal taste, I would say. I mean, it's a really intriguing game. It's totally different than most games you would play. And this controller, again, is also different. That, you know, the main controller is you just kind of holding that in the right position to get those balls to go exactly right. So again, it comes down to personal preference if you would even want to play a Pachinko game. But the Japanese love it, and this, of course, comes from Japan. And I'm pretty sure that when this came out for Famicom, there would have been quite a lot of Japanese people buying this. Because if they love Pachinko and they have this at home, when they feel like playing Pachinko, they can just bring out their Famicom, hook their controller up, put a game cartridge in, and away you go. So it'd be a lot more convenient than having to go to the arcade all the time. Although I'd still say most of them would go to the arcade because, like I said before, Pachinko is basically a form of gambling. It's a form where you can get a reward of those steel balls and exchange those for token or prizes, and sometimes exchange tokens and stuff for cash. So, you know, it's a way of gambling. But the way it's translated to Famicom, the controller itself, it works really well. I don't think you could really play this game with any other controller. You would need basically a specialized Pachinko controller, because this grip is really unusual, and it's particularly designed to work with that game. And of course, like I said before, Famicom does have quite a few different Pachinko games, so that's not the only game you can get others as well. Most of the games that support this controller, on the back of the game box, it'll usually have just an outline picture of this controller, and that just means it supports the Pachinko controller. Now, the Pachinko controller itself, like I said before, it is very unusual. It's very bulky. It does the job though. It's essentially a job of a gamepad plus that twist grip for the Pachinko side of it. So it does the job, and it'll work with any kind of Pachinko game for the Famicom. Now, these aren't actually that rare. You can usually find these pretty easily. Generally speaking, the Famicom one isn't as easily found as the PC Engine one, and the PC Engine has also a Famicom, sorry, not a Famicom, the PC Engine has a Pachinko controller that looks almost identical to this, and in tomorrow's video I'll be showing the PC Engine version of it. That way you can kind of get a glimpse of what the PC Engine version looks in comparison to the Famicom. And the reason I want to do them separately is because they are made by different people, but they are the similar design. So I'll be doing that video tomorrow, so if you're interested in PC Engine or you want to see the PC Engine Pachinko controller, then check out tomorrow's video. But going back to the Famicom version works just as well. It's fairly easy to find. The Pachinko controllers in general aren't that expensive, especially when you find them on eBay. There's just not that much interest in them, and again, I think it's because it's a very specialized Japanese kind of thing. The Japanese love this thing, but around the world it's not as popular. So Pachinko controllers, I mean, most of the times you can pick them up for $5–10. So, you know, they're really cheap, they're not too expensive. Very much a specialized thing, and if you're a Famicom collector, then this thing would definitely be a great addition to your collection. But yeah, I think that's all I can really say about it. So it's a pretty interesting controller, pretty unusual Japanese controller. Looks pretty cool. It works very well with the game. But yeah, guys, that was the Coconuts Japan Pachinko controller for the Famicom console. Thanks for watching, guys. I am Sharkie Gamer. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll have heaps more gaming controller and accessory videos up very shortly. If you like this video, hit that like button. It really helps out a lot, guys. And as always, feel free to leave a comment down below and share the video, as it helps spread my video around. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching.